Okay, welcome to another episode, or the last episode of the year of PK and Shackled. My name is Makawe Katide. I do have a middle name, Goodwill, but I don't like using it. Apparently, I was named after the Zulu king. Um, but yeah, Goodwill. Come on, I don't like it. I like my African names. Now, today we are joined by Kgosikgolo Lehasa II. I hope I said it correctly because my suit sakan, and it's shameful or get tswaletswe kwakwa. Mara Sotho sa ka se bodile that. How are you, sir?
No, I'm good. I'm good. I am well. Given the times that we are living in, I am well, and that's all we can really ask for. I would be much better. I would be doing much better if other things were different. But given the circumstances, I'm okay.
Okay. No. Thank you for joining us on this episode. Now,
Thank you for the invite.
I don't like doing these things to discuss fashion, clothes. Nah. What we discuss on PK and Shekel Live is serious stuff that impacts communities, that impacts families, that impacts future generations. Now, today's issue is one, the land issue. Kore, there's no salt and pepper to it. There is no let's beautify it. There's no let's bring Jesus and God and Allah and into this discussion. No, it's something that we need to sort out on our own. It's something that we need to discuss on our own and find a solution. So I did a lot of research. I've been doing research because I want land, and I don't want land to farm. I want to build a school of leadership where we can teach not only prominent people, but young people the principles of leadership according to our African customs and traditions. Because that's one thing that is always, I always say, hore, things like leadership, they're part of our tradition, they're part of our culture. But a lot of, religious innuendos have said, no, you are not a leader. You are led, which is fine. We are all led by somebody. But there are still principles that we can learn from African culture, African tradition, things like righteousness. I always say to my timer, Ore, righteousness cannot be mutually exclusive to Christianity.
No.
Don't come and tell me that nonsense. Righteousness is part of our African. So that's why I want land. I want to build this school of leadership where guys like Kgosikgolo Lehasa will come and teach our young people, hore, this is leadership. This is what we speak of leadership. Most of the social ills that we have in our community now is because of the lack of leadership. And people say, yeah, but land is expensive. Why should I even worry about expensive land if it was taken from my forefathers? Why? Okay, so let's start here. That please, for people who don't know you, please, introduce yourself. And I like the title Kgosikgolo. Are you the chief of chiefs? Is that what it means? Or so yeah, please tell us who you are and yeah, basically.
So I am one that is very much opposed to the English names or the English titles of African leadership, because the English titles of the African leadership started with the deliberate attempt from the British to belittle African leadership. First, by saying that there was no king in Africa, the king was only in England, and Africans were then given the name chief because they were the chiefs to the King of England. In Africa, we don't have this rubbish of kings and chiefs and those. I'm surprised today when the Marena in Africa today are so excited to be on the lines of chief and all those things and that. In the Bakhatla language and that, which today we call Setswana, Bakhatla use the name Kgosikgolo and Kgosi. Basotho use Motlotlegi le Morena. Then you go to Tengunis that the Xhosas will use Kumkani, and the Zulus would use Nkosi, Nondabezita, and then the Beles use Kosi. Now, I prefer those because in those names there was no confusion of who is what and what role who plays. It was very simple that this was a Kgosikgolo because a Kgosikgolo had the Kgosi which were serving under his leadership. The Kgosi would have Maranana which were serving under their leadership, and that's how the hierarchy was. I am Kgosikgolo from Magolokwe Amafehleng. Magolokwe Amafehleng, it's a tribe that or a clan that broke away from the main Magolokwe. And this happened in 1821 after there was in battles where the families inside fought. And from that, the kingdom had split into majorly 3 parts. And we are then the part that became Magolokwe Amafehleng, which then moved from the then Seratwe, which was in the Mpumalanga district, or they would say Standerton area, and that. But the Standerton was a district. We were more in around that area between Standerton, Dachakral, and those. We then moved to the area at that stage was called Lesosong, which was the Heidelberg district, which Northern Free State then falls in at this moment. And we then settled in the area today that is called Dennisville, which we still prefer to call it Mafehleng, because that's who and the name of the area is Mafehleng, and that's where we were. We called it Mafehleng because that's where the water was meeting of the rivers was meeting there, and then we said one thing, so that's where the water meet, and we said Mafehleng. So I am Kgosikgolo from Magolokwe Amafehleng. I am the son of Litsielo. Litsielo wa Nakalanone wa Gabele wa Matebele, Matebele wa Sebobane wa Selotolotsa wa Polane wa Matsime wa Lehasa la Matsimela, Matsimela wa Mogolwane wa Motshwane. And that is just a few of my ancestors. I am the blood of Bakhatla, which today have been broken down to so many nations and formed nations like Basotho today, Botswana. All those are the people that came from Bakhatla. So yeah, that's really who I am.
Fantastic.
And ke le golokwe ke le kotswana ke le tlhaba go ka le mao ka setunong a nke a iso mogolwane go nga re bona morena ke hlabile ke motho wa Lehasa la Matsimela, motho wa hasa dikgomo le batho ke mtshane o le maka le rakong ha ba bang ba le maka masimong ke motho wa se apara kobo ya motho e ka ba ya kgomo e ka hlaela. That's now who I am.
And I'm glad, Hore, that I think I've had this discussion with you before, Hore, not coming from a heavy Christian background, iy'thakazelo zami khane ngizifunda manje, I still don't know all of them, and it has nothing to do with religion, but it has to do with identity, you know. And one of the things that made it easy for things like the land to be stripped away from us, to be taken from us, is the fact that our identity was altered. You understand? You can still keep your clan name. You can still call yourself Katide, but you have to have goodwill to accompany Katide for you to be accepted to this society. So, nna e bohloko nna ntho eo ntate ya hore okay, here we are in the world's best democracy. Nonsense. We have reconciled with our former oppressors. Fine. So you can have the JSE as black people. You can have the top 100 CEO positions in the country. You can have many things, the tangible, the glamorous things, but you cannot have the land. I have a very serious problem with that. That the one asset that you must remember from African spirituality perspective, you connect to the land that you are birthed in. Your success, your wealth, your history, your future is through, by, and for that land. Now, if you don't own it, who are you? Who are you? How can you say I am Makawe Katide if I don't own land that justifies me or empowers me to speak boldly as Makawe Katide from the Gubega clan?
Yeah.
This.
Here is the thing that is a problem. And I like it, normally you'd find the Katides using the name Kubega and using Katide as his tagazelo, so Katid. You can have everything. That is the reconciliation clause in this country, is that you can have everything as long as we are ruling it. As long as we are calling the shots, you can have it. So you can have the stock exchange as long as we call the shots, as long as we dress it with you, with your color, with your name. Now, the issue of land is very important. When you talk about the issue of land, where the issue of land is a problem in this country, and with your guys' democracy, because it's not my democracy, it's your guys' democracy. This democracy of yours says that South Africa belongs to all who live in it. For the fact that you come and you rent my house, it does not make the house to belong to you. It is still my house. You are a tenant in that house. But you guys are saying that it belongs to all who lives in it. This country, or in this continent, it is where people are not called by the land that they originate from. You go to China, people who live there are Chinese. You are welcome to come to China and live with us. But you are not Chinese. You are not Japanese. You are only Japanese because you are you are born of Japan. Everyone is called by the land that they come from. And you come into this ridiculousness that we live in, and you are called black and white. And the reason to be called black and white was to remove the issue of the ownership of land from the cards, so that we can talk of black and white people living together, not Africans and Europeans, because that's what it is. It's Africans and Europeans who live in this country. It's not black and white people. It's Africans and Europeans. Why is it okay? Why is it okay that everywhere else when you speak, that when you go to Europe and that people want to be called Europeans because it's their land, but when they come here to Africa, they no longer want to be called Europeans, they want to be called white. What nonsense is that? So now you go back and you take also the Bible that you as Christians have embraced. When you read your Bible also, the people in your Bible are identified by the land they come from. It was Jesus of Judea. You listen to all his 12 disciples. They were all from a certain land. And you didn't hear them saying it was Simon. You know that it was Simon Petros from who? From where? Because it was important to call people by their land of birth, because that's who you connect with. That's where your ancestors are buried, on the land that you came from. And that nonsense of calling people by color happens here because the ownership of land needs to be eroded. That's why we are called by the color of the skin instead of the land of birth.
Now, what's shocking? So there was a government audit in 2017. 70% of arable land or farmland is owned by white people who form less than 10% of the population. Now, even if that we were forgiving people, which I'd like to think we are. I mean, the world says so. South Africa is the most forgiving. And don't get me wrong, I'm not promoting one tribe over another, but I want to understand and make an informed decision about how I take my life forward. So if I don't farm what I eat, or I don't eat what I farm, that makes me depend on somebody automatically. My life, my livelihood, my health, my everything depends on somebody else. Now, if you don't control that value chain, how do you control any other value chain?
Katide, here is the big thing. Who are you forgiving? Who has asked for forgiveness from you? And
We are forced. We are forced.
Sorry to interject.
Kgosikgolo.
Right.
Sorry to interject. We are
happening right.
Yeah.
We need to start seeing things for what they are and calling things what they are. You forgive when a person asks for forgiveness. When the person sees the wrong that they have done and understand that they have done wrong and decide that they would like to reconcile with you. And as a result, they are going to ask for forgiveness. That's when then forgiveness comes to play. So who are you forgiving? Who has asked for forgiveness? When did this person that you are forgiving ask for forgiveness? And those are the things that we need not to shy away from. We are not fighting with anyone. We are not fighting with anyone. I'm not fighting with anyone. But I'm very realistic in my approach of things. I cannot forgive you when you have not come and asked for forgiveness. And when you come and ask for forgiveness, I will ask you, what are you asking me to forgive you for? And you would say to me, I am asking you to forgive me for killing your people. I am asking you to forgive me for treating you like subhuman. I am asking you to forgive me for stealing what belonged to you. And when you ask for those forgiveness, I might ask you questions and say, those that you have killed, where did you bury them? Because I would like to go and honor their graves. If you are not willing to tell me where you have buried them, if you are still denying the fact that you have killed them, what am I forgiving you for? If you are asking me to forgive you for treating me subhuman, why are you still calling me names? when you are in your little corners with your little friends and family, that means the forgiveness that you are asking me is not genuine. So as long as you are calling me names when I do not see you, I cannot forgive you because you haven't seen the wrong that you are doing. As long as you have not returned the land, I cannot forgive you for stealing the land because you still have stolen goods in your possession. So we must ask ourselves, what is it that we are forgiving first? Then we can be able to start this forgiveness process. Then we can start the healing process. Then we can get to the reconciliation process. Because before we reconcile, I need to heal. I need to forgive you, heal, and then reconcile. Why are you jumping all the steps and jumping into the issue of reconciliation when the healing and the forgiveness hasn't taken place?
No, ke a utlwa ntate. So, for those who are joining us now, we're discussing the land issue with Kgosikgolo Lehasa wa bobedi, or the second. My leader, you know. So, hypothetically speaking, everyone has forgiven each other. Kumbaya, we're all going to heaven, holding hands, white and black, Europeans, Asian, Pakistani, Somalian, Zimbabwean, we're all embracing. But still, we don't have land. And that's my one. You understand? We've spent 24 years talking about this utopian society that we'd all like to live in. Oh no, forgive them. Listen, Daddy, and I'm talking from my experience. You know, Hore, if somebody, you're quite correct. If somebody does not want your forgiveness, they won't ask for it. You know, I started a few businesses, Limahoa, and then once in a while somebody would say, but you blacks, you keep demanding. What are we demanding? What are you worried about 1,000 rand when your generation owns hectares of land worth billions? Come on, man. Come on. And I know this is going to upset a lot of my white friends, but go jump off a lake, because as a matter of fact, you cannot be a friend of mine, especially if you're white. You cannot come here and claim to be a friend of mine if you can't have this discussion. We can't always talk about Bryce and make jokes about Jacob Zuma, and you tell me how irresponsible blacks are for having too many children. Yet when it comes to the land issue, I must pray, especially from the Christians. Yeah, we must pray together for God to give us a solution. No. Let's sit down and talk. I want land.
We
Now,
have
I
the
know the
solution.
argument.
We have the solution. The solution for anything that is stolen is to be given back. We don't need to plan. We don't need to discuss. We don't need to pray. We need to return the land. You know, the land issue, Katide, it's a big problem. In a way that it was a very well designed and thought crime that was committed against us. The first issue that comes of it was to cook a story that has now become the truth and the problem in this country, which is the story of who came to this land first. And we are being made to fight with our brothers who are the Khoisans. We are fighting with them today because now we are fighting about who was here. While people are enjoying our land, the two of us are fighting each other who was here first. And we don't realize that that was the plan all along. To say that the day that we are going to revolt and start talking about this land, we will then start fighting each other because we will fight about who does it really belong to. The land belongs to Africans. The Khoisans are part of Africans. The land belongs to Africans. I'm not going to talk about Zulu, Sotho, Tswana. The land belongs to Africans.
But the
Now,
argument, Ntate, the argument from a lot of Mahua, and a lot of black people, you know, who are not on this journey, they would say no, but we can't put Jan van Riebeck and Backwater and with the modern crop of young white people who are born in South Africa, who have the same rights as black people, yada 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 yada. How
why
do
can't
you have
we?
same rights when you have privileges that I don't have by birth?
Why can't we? Why can't we? Why can't we put them with the Jan van Riebeck's and that? They are their blood. They are their beneficiary. Why can't we put them in the same slate? I am being put in the same slate with all my forefathers. For the good and the bad that they have done, I am labeled and judged upon their actions. Because that's what you would always be judged on, upon the actions and that. Now, if they didn't want to be associated with the Jan van Riebeck and the Pegbooters, what they would have done is that when the Pegbooters and the Jan van Riebecks died, they would have brought back what was stolen by the Jan van Riebecks and the Pegbooters, and they would have said, I want nothing to do with these people, so here is the things that I have stolen. I am not one with them. You cannot come and enjoy the fruits of their labor of stealing and killing and segregation. And while enjoying those fruits, and you want to come back and say, but I don't think like them. I don't believe in what they believe. As long as you are eating of what they plowed, you believe in what they believe. Call a spade a spade. There's no time to play anymore. We were born. We are now gray. The beard has turned gray. We are getting old on the same nonsense that has been fed years by. We are going to die and leave our kids in the same predicament because we are afraid to talk about the issues that we are supposed to talk about. I hate no one. I hate no one. I hate the lies. I hate the pretension. Let us be honest about what has happened. And if we want to fix it, let's really fix what needs to be fixed. And we know that CODESA was not meant to fix anything. It was not to fix this. We know that the Constitution put a clause to say South Africa belongs to all that lives in it because it was to protect the land. The biggest issue that has always been a problem of the discussions of this country was not the color of the skin, it was the land. Now, this land, it's meant always to divide us so that we never get to the crux of fighting for the right thing, which is land. Let me tell you, Katid, the Khoi and the San people have always been nomadic people. They were hunters. They followed where animals go. You cannot pinpoint them in South Africa and say they were not there in the East, they were not there in the West, they were not. No, they were in Africa. They roamed every place in Africa. What you are told about what people saw when they started coming here from 1488. Remember, they started coming here 1488. Don't buy this rubbish of 1652 and that. 1652 is when they settled. They started coming here from 1488 to come and hunt slaves. The Portuguese were here 1488. Now they're telling us the history that they saw from 1488 and that they don't know before 1488 what was happening. Who knows that 1488, if the Khoi people were not in North Africa, they were following animal movement because they were hunters. The same way as you saw the Bahurutsi and those coming into Southern Africa following the rain patterns because those were the farmers. Now, this land did not have borders. We cannot come today and say this part belonged to that one and that part. No, it did not belong to anyone. It was Africa that belonged to Africans. Not Europeans. I'm talking about Africans. It belonged to Africans. They roamed the land, chasing whatever they were chasing. Those that were chasing mining, they chased mining. Those that were chasing farming were chasing farming. Those that were chasing hunting, they were chasing hunting. We roamed the land. We roamed Africa. It belongs to Africans.
So a lot of people say, yeah, no, but the settlers or the missionaries or whatever you want to call them, when they came to Africa, they brought technologies, they brought civilization, and all this nonsense, forgetting that there were places like Mapungubwe, which were civilizations on their own, without any outside influence. The value of gold we knew before it became, the world's economy, that in many instances it's held by gold. So Africans knew the value of gold way before. But
Katile,
according to
let any of those nonsensical theorists come and tell us where was civilization more than in Africa, because Africa was the birthplace of civilization. If they don't know the how mathematics started, they must come and remind us what that the tablet that was found in the mountains in Swaziland that proved that the scientists says proves that it was the beginning of mathematics. The pyramids in Egypt. How could have one built such structures without understanding that? Architecture and those things. They must not come here and tell us nonsense you know what? In the past, where people were trying to break us down as people and make us feel useless and that we don't own anything and we don't know anything and we are stupid and we must be grateful that they came to this land and that time has passed. We are not grateful that they came to this land. No, we are not. They must be grateful that they came to this land. Because into this land, when they came, they found people that were willing to accept them as visitors, people that fed them, people that welcomed them, and they killed those people in return. I'm not going to be happy as if they are coming, brought anything nice to my people. No, it brought nothing nice to my people. It brought poverty to my people. Now, I'm willing to forgive such things. But let's talk about the real issues. Stop coming to me about nonsensical kindergarten issues and that. Don't come and tell me about constitutions and everything and that. Come and tell me about the real thing. My people are starving. My people want their land. My forefathers were pushed out of land. In 1913, people slept one morning, one evening, and when they woke up the next day, they were told, you no longer own this land. You are now a worker in this land. You are now a slave on this land. You now work for this white man that you had given residence, that you have given place. You now belong to him. He now owns the land. That was the Natives Land Act in 1913. After 90 battles that were fought in this country, 90 battles that were fought to kill people for this land, in 1913, they introduced that final nail to that coffin, which was the Native Land Act, to make sure that Black people, African people, don't own land. So we cannot be talking about all this nonsense and forget to talk about the real issues of the Natives Land Act and those and what happened before then. Today we've got a government that says, come and claim your land. Oh, but if you come and claim your land, please, your land must be post 1913 because we can't deal with any land before 1913. Where did we live before 1913? On air.
No, I hear you loud and clear. I hear you loud and clear. Now, if you also look at the numbers in terms of land retribution and land restitution, whatever nonsense they call it, it's minimal. It's tiny, tiny, and it takes years. So there's a friend of mine who his family was moved from this company. Unfortunately, I cannot afford lawsuits, so I won't name them. But it's a big company. They are one of the biggest companies in the world in what they do. This company, the forefathers chased away this tribe and then they build this business, very successful. It's a multi-billion rand business. Now, this friend of mine, the whole tribe is claiming against this company, and it's taken years. I'm not talking about 3 years. Yeah, I think it's in their 15th year, and that company is still operating there. And they try and do BEE arrangements so that the government keeps quiet, because government loves those things. So that you keep quiet, you must have a BEE partner and all that nonsense. But listen, that land, you are producing whatever products you don't. That's not your land. The land belongs to this tribe. Now, how does this tribe benefit from the land that you kicked out of them? Kick or now, that we cannot at this day and age, we have a lot of people who speak African spirituality, who speak spirituality, who quote Kemetic theories, who quote, the origins of Alkebulan. That we are thinkers, we are leaders of thought. But when it comes to land, two, even the brightest guides, you will not hear anyone talking about the land issue. And then the government goes and says, yeah, no, we'll do into compensation, land restitution with nil compensation or zero compensation. Why is it even that a discussion of zero, the difference between zero and nil? No. Don't come and tell me about zeros and nils yet. Tell me, when your parents were forcibly moved from Charlestown in KZN and moved to Osizweni or Matateni, and how do you know what, Ndade? My family, right? They come from Charlestown and whatnot. In I think it's in KZN, close to Newcastle, close to Falkirk, as a matter of fact. So there's a power station that was built where my dad was born and whatnot. And if there's a power station there that generates billions for Eskom, why should my family suffer? Why should I worry about having an education fund for my children? Why? Those guys are making billions. And when we have this discussion, I can guarantee you that now, okay, I'm gonna say this. I'm a born again Christian, but akutwane limath. I don't like nonsense. I don't like this veil, this thing that we've created already. No, let's have a level of ambiguity, and then when we die, we'll go to heaven. I don't like that. It's not what I want. I want facts. I want to tell my son his history, his worth. Okay, so if Eskom is generating billions from that power station, right? Whatever. Now that means us as a family, originally, there's a net worth that we don't know about. And makgowa di tseba ntho ntate makgowa a di tseba ba tseba ntho tse hore nna family yaka, because we own this plot of land, the projections are in the next 20 years will be worth 20 billion.
Now, Katide, the answer to that is simple. Your thought leaders, your politicians, and everyone in that do not want to talk about the issue of land, because everybody says if you talk about the issue of land and we take land and that, we will upset the economy and the economy may collapse and we will be poor. Here's the thing. When you're an African person in this country, we have been on junk status all our lives. So whether the economy collapses or the economy doesn't collapse, it doesn't affect us. Why are we so much in protection of a system that was designed to exclude us? You cannot have success in a system that was designed to to rob you off, to disadvantage you. Now, we want to build a new Africa with a new dawn. But we want to still use the same system that was designed to lock us out of it. So we are so much concerned about the economy collapsing and Katide losing a house or a car. We are so much worried that we are going to lose houses and cars when the economy collapses, and that look what we stand to lose when this economy collapses. It's minimal to what these people will lose, to what the Rupert will lose when this collapses. And perhaps now it is time to just collapse. Perhaps it is time to upset the economy and collapse it so that we can start it in a fresh way that will favor us as the owners of this land. Why are you so much concerned in protecting the system that is not yours? And that is why your thought leaders are not talking about the issue of land. Your thought leaders cannot talk about the issue of land because your thought leaders are being funded by the very same people that are benefiting from the status quo. That's why they can't say anything. They are being funded by the Ruperts and those guys who are the ones that are owning the diamonds, the Oppenheimers, and those are the people that own the diamonds and the gold and everything in this country. Those are the people that are funding your political parties. How do you suppose that you're going to find an answer from the political parties that are formed, that are the political parties that are funded by the people that are keeping you poor? So you need to wake up and understand that the change, it's in the hands of people. The land, Katide, did not belong to the kings. It belonged to the people, the nations. The kings were custodians of the land. The kings were those that looked after the land, were those that led and presided over the land. The land belonged to the nations. Until you guys understand the power that you have as people, that the land is yours, the minute you are still waiting for political leaders to give you the land that is already yours, then you will go nowhere. You will die. Your kids will still suffer. Your kids will still not have money to go to school. Because even in the schools that you send your kids to, you're teaching them nothing about who they are. Tell me, if it is not deliberate, please tell me, why is it left out from your school curriculums to talk about izithakazelo zethu, uyipulela? By now, an African child, when they complete grade 1, they should be able to say thoko ya habo bona. They should be able to say at the time they finish grade 1, it should have been in the syllabus. Because by you knowing hore ole kholokwe tells you exactly which part of this land do you come from, which part of this land belonged to your ancestors. But if we don't teach them that, we are telling them that they originate and they come from Gauteng. They originate and they come from Sandton. And you are comfortable with that.
Hey, yeah, no, it hadn't that deal. Now, let's get back to the land issue. In an ideal world, what would you like to happen?
In an ideal world, justice needs to happen. The land needs to be given back to the people. And the people of those land will engage who is it that will operate on their land. There are no gray areas. If we go back and follow the history, we know exactly who belonged to which land. And if the land goes back to the people, if the land goes back to the custodians of the land, and that land makes the returns that are distributed back to the people of the land, educates the children of the people of the land, feeds the people of that land, then we will be talking something. The land needs to go back to the people it belonged to. We know where Bakhatla people presided. We know where the Nguni people presided up to when they became Maswati, Ndebele said. We know which areas they presided. This thing of saying that the people never lived together, this thing that gives us the impression that there was this big difakani and people never managed to live together, they were killing each other, and that it's a whole lot of lies and nonsense. We intermarried. How did we intermarry culturally and that if we were unable to live together? If you go in my family, years back, predating the beginning of time, of our time and that, we have had Bonghunu who were Matebele, who were not Mahuluko, who were Matebele. That tells you exactly that we intermarried because we lived together in the land. I'm saying people should stop asking us these nonsensical questions of sitting down and saying to us, no, if you get the land back, what are you going to do with the land? What were we doing with the land before you came here?
No, but another thing, that's besides the point.
It's my, you see, the thing is this, if you have stolen my bicycle, when I want it back, you can't ask me what am I going to do with the bicycle. It's my bicycle. Where do you want to go with the bicycle? It's my bicycle. I'll go with it wherever I wish.
So, even if I want to crash it, even if I want to crash it, it's mine.
Want to ban it, give it to me, let me ban it. Why are you so concerned about my belongings and what I do with them? Give me my land. If I am going to make it what Zimbabweans have made with their land, give it to me, let me do that. It's my land. What we need to be doing now as Africans is that we need to be sitting as Africans in private. Give us time to talk as the owners of the land. What we need to be doing as Africans in private is sitting and saying, perhaps not all the systems that worked in the past are going to work now where land is concerned and going forward. So let's sit and decide and see how are we going to deal with it going forward? How do we distribute it? How do we administer it? And nobody can tell me it's not working. Go to Royal Bafokeng right here outside in Rustenburg and go see that the issue of land being administered by the king, it's working and the people are being taken care of.
Very well so. Very well so. I mean, they are one of the richest ethnic
They are the
groups.
richest monarch in Africa. They're the richest monarch in Africa. They're making lots of money. They're taking kids to varsity. The kids are going to school free. They have got healthcare systems that work. Hell, they even built a stadium for the people to see the World Cup. Don't come and tell us about we are unable and that. And give us the land. Let us show you.
So, Kgosikgolo, I'm gonna play devil's advocate here. You know, a lot of people who would be watching this or are watching this would say, "Yeah, but you guys, you come from an angry, militant approach, and you know you don't sound like you want to negotiate with anyone, whereas." You know, other kings in this part of the land, when we sit with them, you know, they listen to us in trying to find a solution. Now, I don't have the luxury of time. I don't, you know, I can't be sitting here and say, yeah, in 10 years' time there'll be a solution. No, listen, if we don't address it now, then I would have failed my children. I would have failed my wife. I would have failed the wider Katide clan, the Gubega, and the other. I would have failed them. You understand? If I don't proactively say to people, guys, we need to speak about the land issue. I want land. How do I get it? Yeah, and don't come with these. But you know what? When I was doing the promo for this show, one of the things that I was thinking, is there a political solution? Do you think in this whole thing, is there a political solution? Or people must just say, we want land, and forcibly take land, which then becomes problematic because it classes anarchy, and I don't know.
Katite,
Yeah, Boba.
you know your forefathers, they were kuthiwa masobod.
Mashiamal.
Here is the thing. We cannot be peaceful and marinating the truth any longer. We've been doing it for years. I'm going to talk about Magolokwe. That in 1866, after the land had belonged to us, in 1866, Magolokwe bought the land. They used cattle to buy the land. We paid, with the Batlokwa tribe, we paid over 9,000 cattle to the Afrikaners to buy the land. That land was 500,000 hectares of land. That land, it was all the way from Kwakwa today that they call Kwakwa, or they call Putadichaba today. It was all the way from there up until Heidelberg. That land was bought by Magolokwe. 500,000 hectares of land. We have got evidence, we've got slips of the transaction, the history has written about it, there were commissions called about it. Yet still, it's a problem to give that land back. It was a problem for the white government to give that land back. It is a problem for the black government to give that land back. A land that belongs to an African child, that belonged to me before, that we bought even after, but yet still it cannot be given to us. What am I still peaceful about? What must I be peaceful about? What is this thing, Eric? Because now this land was bought. If I have bought something and you still refuse to give it to me, what is then that? So we cannot be talking about this in a soft tone anymore. I'm an angry African, and that, of course, I'm an angry African. And people haven't begun to see my anger, because I cannot even express the anger that I feel about the issue. My forefathers died. It was not only cattle that was paid for this land, Katide, even blood was paid for this land. I cannot talk nicely anymore. I don't care about being friends anymore, because the friendship is not building me anything. So if talking the truth offends you, and then you cannot be my friend anymore because my truth offends you, you were never my friend from the beginning. So go and be a friend with your other white people there. I'm not willing to play your game anymore. So I'm saying, give the land back to the people. Give the Khoisan part of the land. They deserve it. Give everyone part of the land. They deserve it. We need to do that. And then we can start talking about reconciliation. You cannot be owning 70% of arable land in the country that you are not born off. And when you are only 10% of that. So go away if you want to go away with your economy, it's okay. I'm not fighting you. I'm not chasing you away. I'm saying, give me my land. Let the people that understand that this is an African land and it belongs to African children, let those people remain and stay behind. We are happy to have them here. We will host them. We hosted them before. We fed them when they came here and didn't have food. We gave them cattle when they came here and they were poor. We are still willing to do that. But let them give what belongs to us. Then we can talk.
Yeah, no. That hour went past very, very quickly because, for those who just joined us, we are talking about the land issue. It will never go away until we address it. But what's important, Corey, guys like you and me are using our voices, are using our influence to show, to say how serious we are. And for me, it's not even a money issue, it's not even a wealth issue. That's secondary. But it's an identity issue. I'm sure you can connect uh, you yourself to land more than anything, more than
Katide,
more than
here's the important thing. When you go and ask the Europeans that live in this country and say to them, where are your forefathers buried? I'll tell you that they are able to take you to a certain farm and they are able to show you 6 generations, 5 generations of their forefathers buried there. Me, as an African child, my grandfathers are buried from one farm to another, from one farm to another, from one farm to another, as they were moved as forced labor to one farm to another. And then after that, we were brought to this that we see today. And then another one is buried in Soweto, another one is buried in Meadowlands or in Tembisa, another one is buried in Alex, another one. When I need to go to the fortress, when I need to go to the quiet place, when I need to go to my cradle where my ancestors are, I have to move around 20 farms which I'm denied access to. That is not how Africans live. I want land so that I can bring my ancestors home where they belong. And we can know and respect and say, this is our crown. This is where lies the greatness of this nation.
let me ask you this question. Let me ask you this question, Kgosikgolo. Do you believe that the so Christianity, do you believe that was used to detach people from the land? And
Completely.
I'll ask you what. I'll elaborate on that. So we are told, according to Christianity, we are told we should not attach ourselves to earthly things. One of them is land. Um, so, and even our guys, even Baruti Baba Tuabacho, when they're preaching, say, no, you can circle here on earth. You don't have to worry about the land and property, and because we are going to this
That is
higher place.
exactly where the problem started, Masobot. Because they were saying, no, don't fight for the land here, because there's place more than enough for all of us up there. Up where? Why are they worried about the land here? Why are they not worried about the land up where they are going? So are we the only ones that are going up there? So the issue of land and Christianity, it's very intertwined. Because you were told that the children of Israel, and all these things. And today, the Jews that we talk about and that in Israel and that, what are they fighting about with the Palestinian people? Land.
Land.
Land. So where they want land, it's okay for them to kill and fight. But where we want land and that, oh, here's the Bible, forgive and forget. There is more than enough house in the house of my father. Let them go to their father and live with their father. We want land where our fathers are buried.
Okay. No. You know what? I've heard you. We must do this again. Expand on it. But what would you like to say in closing, my kind sir?
What I would like to say is that you forgive people that ask for forgiveness. Reconciliation is only a third step in this. And the first step, it's one apologizing. The second step, it's me healing from what you have done. And then the third step will be reconciling. If those two are not done, we cannot reconcile. So let's stop running to the destination when we haven't walked the path. Land belongs to Africans, not all those that live in it.
Okay. Thank you very much at home for tuning in. Yeah, man. I'll post the link for the video and then you can watch it in your free time. But thank you, KgosikgoloLehasa II, for your
Pula.
wonderful insight. And I'm sure we'll invite you again and then we'll talk more about everything African, spirituality, and everything. But yeah, adios. Thank you for joining us at home. Makau Katita
Pula.
signing out. Pula.